Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. You're watching PNT. I'm your host, innocent as a newborn lamb. Up front this week, according to an article by CNN and a shocking video posted on social media, one California teacher should have stuck to chemistry rather than hairstyling. High school teacher Margaret Geisinger was filmed forcibly cutting the hair of one of her first-hour chemistry students while singing a jumbled version of the Star-Spangled Banner. The 52-year-old teacher wielded a pair of scissors like a maniac, merrily trimming away while being filmed by one of her students. The video shows Geisinger moving about the classroom and even going so far as to grab the hair of a female student in order to administer her star-spangled snipping. The panicked students are shown running in fear from the classroom, attempting to escape from their assailant and get help from the school office. Geisinger was immediately fired from her job and now faces serious criminal prosecution for the incident, with charges ranging from false imprisonment, cruelty to a child, battery, and assault, according to Tulare County officials. Released on $100,000 bail, Geisinger is required to stay at least 100 yards from the University Prep High School. When questioned about his wife's inexplicable outburst, her husband was at a complete loss to explain her actions and was quoted as saying, "It's not her. It's not who she is. I don't know what's going on with her and I don't have a clue why she did that." For PNT's part, while we certainly deplore Miss Geisinger's actions, we can sympathize with the stress that all teachers endure. Taken all together, though, we cannot help but point out that there are far better ways of telling a teenager that they need a haircut. From trimming teachers to snorting seals, our next story takes us to Hawaii, where some monk seals apparently have a nose for trouble. Local scientists from the Hawaiian Monk Seal Research Program are working diligently to sniff out the reason young monk seals are getting eels stuck up their noses. The monk seals, which are among the most endangered species on the planet, are well known as predators of eels, with seals knowing to move 50-pound rocks in order to get at their prey. The eels have apparently taken matters into their own hands by attempting to burrow into their attacker's nose and turn the tables on the subsurface snackers. Eel nose, as the researchers term it, is a relatively rare occurrence, with only a handful of reported cases over the past 40 years. Spotting a local seal with a pronounced case of eel nose, the researchers snapped a photo and posted it to social media in order to document the rare phenomena. Mostly exclusive to juvenile seals, the researchers have noted that the invading eels seem to prefer the right nostril for some unknown reason, and that the frequency of eel nose incidents have been on the rise. For PNT's part, despite the diabetes-inducing cuteness of the monk seals, our sympathies are with the eels. After all, if we were pulled from our cozy rock home by a ravenous, doughy-eyed stuffed animal come to life, we'd probably ram into them too. But we certainly wouldn't be aiming for their nose. For the final part of our weekly roundup of the weird, PNT is pleased to bring you a startling UFO taken from the MUFON database. Filmed in Quebec, Canada on November 9th, the remarkable footage clearly shows an odd, angular UFO hovering over the Canadian coastline. Let's have a look at the footage. So what was the object caught on tape by one trucker hovering and moving over the Canadian forest? Let's run down the possibilities. Birds, either singly or in flocks, are unlikely. The object is too large for most species, and birds cannot replicate the motions we see in the video. More telling is the reflectivity of the object, and unless a huge condor made of pure aluminum was hovering over the forest, we can safely rule out the avian avenue. Clouds or other natural phenomena are unlikely, as clouds lack the hard edges and angular shapes the object has. The motions of the object also rule against clouds. As far as PNT is aware, clouds are unable to alter course and speed in a controlled manner. Even with shifting air currents, a cloud would lose cohesion around the edges as the winds toss it about. That brings us to the next logical possible explanation for the object: a blimp or large custom event balloon. While PNT's initial assessment was that the object was most likely a blimp, on closer examination this does not prove out. While a blimp could explain the angular wings we see on either side of the craft, those selfsame motions that eliminated clouds hold true here. Balloons, blimps, and other dirigibles are simply not capable of the acrobatics seen on the video. As we can see, the craft hovers in place and begins to move away from the witness, before suddenly stopping stock still, pausing, and then reversing course at an increased rate of speed, moving back towards the witness in a possible indication of reaction and intelligent control. Blimps and airships are incapable of such precise maneuvers and must make slow, broad movements. Kites are also incapable of stopping and reversing course. Balloons, including weather and event balloons, would be unlikely for exactly the same reasons. Then there is the fact that the extremely remote area of the sighting makes these theories suspect. The likelihood that someone would be holding a party requiring a blimp or event balloon in the middle of the Canadian wilderness is a slim one indeed. So with birds, clouds, balloons, blimps, and kites ruled out, we next turn to private, commercial, and military aircraft. Private planes are a common form of transportation in remote wilderness areas, but again the silhouette and sharp motions of the object seem to rule this out. Commercial aircraft suffer from the same liabilities in this case, along with the issue of the altitude of the object. Far too low for a commercial or civilian aircraft to be safely maintaining. Known military aircraft would also have the same limitations. Drones are also suspect due to size comparisons, lack of noise, and again the remoteness of the area. That remoteness also weighs against military or civilian aircraft, secret or not. PNT was only able to find one small airport in the region of the sighting, with one small runway, no hangar, and one car rental agency. Searching for nearby military bases also proved fruitless, with the nearest installations being over 300 miles away. With our list of rational explanations growing increasingly smaller, PNT then turned its attention to the possibility of CGI or video manipulation. On first blush, CGI was a leading possibility. The footage, while only filmed in 720p, is remarkably clear and presents clear close-up views of the UFO, almost too good a video, despite its shortness. But these fears were soon laid to rest by a number of factors. One, the object moves behind the trees and landscape present on the side of the road. There were no indications of blurring or the pixelation that would be present in a manipulated video. Light can clearly be seen reflecting off the left side of the UFO, with the witness initially unable to see anything more than a bright light. This tells us that the witness was moving towards the west, as the incident took place in the morning when the sun would be in the east, and therefore reflecting off the east-facing side of the object. This reflection changes as the witness's perspective changes, the object also grows larger, and we can see more edge differentiation and the shape of the object. The lighting on the craft remains consistent throughout the video, indicating a solid physical object and not a computer-generated composite added after recording. So having at last eliminated all the logical explanations, what does that leave us? Only for now, with the possibilities presented by the unknown. Is it possible that this was a test of some new military prototype, or something less earthbound? Could this be evidence of alien contact? What could be drawing UFOs to visit the deep Canadian wilderness, an area just a handful of miles from Newfoundland? Curiously, PNT might have an answer. Over the course of the following year, PNT has covered a number of startling cases. The mass sighting in Pueblo, Colorado, the strange amber lights off the coast of Rosarito, Mexico, and now this case in Quebec. The one thing in common to all these events is the odd fact that they all occurred near or directly over wildlife sanctuaries. A curious correlation that points in an intriguing direction. Why would an extraterrestrial intelligence repeatedly visit areas where rare or endangered wildlife reside? What is it about these areas that seems to draw strange activity? If we apply our guiding principle of Occam's razor to these facts, one inescapable conclusion is revealed. The only logical reason the pattern points to would be either study or preservation of Earth's endangered flora and fauna. Is it possible that a benevolent alien intelligence is taking steps to preserve these species against some future calamity? Are we ourselves looking back from some future point in time, hoping to undo our mistakes? Or is there yet a darker motivation present? What if the intentions of these visitors are not so benevolent, but merely expeditions to learn more about a planet and civilization they mean to exploit and control? Could they be acting in accordance or conjunction with our own world governments? Fascinating possibilities and a deep rabbit hole worth exploring in future episodes. But whether the remarkable object caught on tape making abrupt motions in the far northeast of Canada was a military craft, the decoration at a wild Canadian party, or something else entirely, we'll leave up to our faithful viewers to decide. Sound off in the comments section below with your thoughts. That's it for this time, faithful viewers. Be sure to click like, share, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to be notified when PNT presents your next portion of the paranormal. I'm your host, reminding you to keep an open mind, because a closed one shuts out the truth.